the shapes of flowers and the characteristics of flowers. This Zen bowl, makes for a very simple design where every single flower is important. Just a very elegant, beautiful design. And it's a great way to start to really listen to flowers and the direction of flowers, really be like, what direction do I want that stem to go in? What story do I want it to tell? This is also a great way to start learning to cut flowers down. A lot of us, as beginners, we think I have to use this entire stem just like that. But we have to learn that we've not bought the length isn't where the beauty is. Sometimes you can cut it into different pieces. And so it's kind of a muscle memory thing. You'll notice as floral designers, we love to cut things, we love to manipulate things. So that's kind of what we're doing here today. And we're using a pin frog as our mechanics. So the magic in floral design is the mechanics. How are you going to hold the stems in place? And you hit on it exactly. It's like, how am I going to do 2 crisscrossing stems? And that's what you're here to learn, because it's so cool to learn these things and have others look at the arrangement and be like, wow, how'd they do that? So I love that. So I've got a line flower, and I have a whimsy flower. This is not a masked flower yet, but I'm going to open the rose up so it has that masked look. And then I've got filler flowers, and I have texture flowers, and I have the BOGO sprays. So I've got a mixture of different characteristics of flowers, and that's what makes an arrangement really interesting, I think, because it has all these different stories going on. The less flowers you have, the more you have to be kind of conscientious of balance. So balance is innate in all of us. Like, you know that I'm off balance right now, right? And so a lot of times as beginner floral designers, we're like, is it balanced? If it looks unbalanced to you, it probably visually is unbalanced. So you can fix that by adding another flower, right? On the other side. It's like, if I'm leaning this way, where do I need to put weight to bring it back to balance? Over here. And then that would upright me. So that's the same thing with floral design. You add flowers in different locations to create the arrangement to have a balanced feel. Like right now, I'm not looking at this going, I know exactly where I'm going to put every flower. Because you put one flower in and it tells you, that flower talks to you and it says, oh, if you're here, then I think you should put a flower here to make it feel balanced. And then once I have a whole bunch over here, I'm like, oh, I need to add something here to make it feel balanced. So every single stem, it's not a one and done like, oh, okay, I know exactly where to put everything. It's more just listening to each stem that you put in. You can begin with whatever stem you want. And sometimes if you don't know where a stem should go, you shouldn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. You should just go ahead and add a stem. Because once you add a stem, you're going to know what to do next. We're basically, when we're designing, we're correcting our design each time we add another flower. We're like, ooh, too much weight over here, I'm going to add a flower here. Oh, too much color over there, I'm going to add some color here. It's a constant listening to the design, and the design will tell you where the next flower needs to go. So I'm going to start with my masked flower, and I'm going to, if I want to do the reflexing technique, I've got to take off my little, here's a name for these. And then if there were guard petals, sometimes a rose has these petals that don't look so good, and that's because they were protecting the rose. So sometimes you may want to take those off before you start. And then I'm just reflexing the stems here. The petal fell off and I was worried about it, but then I kind of was like, it's floating. It actually looks kind of good. Like maybe I want to have some floating flowers in there. So we actually use challenges in the design or imperfections in the design we actually use them to an advantage. Like, do we do that in life, ladies? Like, we have a lot of challenges, a lot of things that come up that we're like, hey, we can turn this, making lemonade out of lemons, right? That's what you're doing in floral design. You're making it work. You're creating something different. So I am opening this guy up. There's a debate. Are flowers male or female? Are they he's or hers? Or they's or whatever? Doesn't matter. I know some people say. Some designers like call me he, some call me she's. A biologist would probably have an opinion on that. Any biologists here? No. Okay, but now we've got more of a rounded, full, fluffy look. So I'm going to step back. Whenever you're designing, you want to step back. Well, you can't step back much here, but preferably you want to be able to step back a few inches because you don't want to be always just right on top of your design, because then you're not getting the full view of it. Because when someone walks into a room and sees a design, are they looking at it like this? No. They're walking into it and they're like, oh, that's gorgeous. So you do want to step back and take in the whole look as it would be viewed. So I'm going to, before I add it, let's talk about cutting the stem. Now, if we were doing an arrangement in a vase, we would cut all of our stems at a 45-degree angle, because we've talked about how that gives it the most surface area to take in water. However, when we use a pin frog in a container, that is not, we want as many pins to go into the stem as possible. And so if I cut at a 45-degree angle, it's a little more technical, this is a good thing for engineers here. If I cut it at a 45-degree angle, then that means I'm going to be putting it in this direction, because all of the pins are parallel in my container and it's got to go in that way. So it's a completely different way of designing with a pin frog versus just sticking it in a vase. Ooh, Kara's excited about this. So you kind of have to think ahead what angle you want to put your stem at, because then you're going to want to cut the stem to where it will sink into as many pins as possible. I have no idea what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to start with something. Okay. And did you hear that? It just, it feels so good. And it just stays. I mean, that's magic already. Okay, I've got to start. If I had my plumb line here, it's a little to the right. So that kind of lets me know, okay, I probably want to put something a little to the left. I'm going to take off the leaves that I know will not look good in a day or two. Any petals that don't look healthy. Okay, so this is where, as a designer, I stand back and I can visually imagine where I'm like, do I want it there? Do I want it up here? Where do I want this to hit? In the designer world, we never want the stems to be at the same length. Now you can break that rule, but traditionally, I suggest for beginners, you either want to go above or you want to go below. So I'm going to, and I could, do a crazy angle. I could do whatever. It doesn't matter, because my third flower is going to help correct whatever I do. So we're going to cut. I'm going to stick that. Now I kind of like that because I've got this neat line coming back in. Isn't that fun? Yeah. Now I could have gone really cool straight up and had him be a feature flower, but I kind of like that. So for me, when I look at this, now that I'm heavy over here, I feel like I'd like something kind of right there. So I've got my BOGO stem here, my spray rose. Take off any not good petals. And this is where I can cut into multiple stems. And again, I would not put them at the same height. If I'm putting two together, I'm going to put one that's deeper or one he's coming out. So I'm going to go with him a little bit lower. And then we've got this guy. That's why are threes good in floral design? Okay, why are threes good in floral design? Threes are a Fibonacci number. It's a number that we see all over nature. So that's one of the reasons we like threes. We also like threes because our eye visually wants to create triangles. And because triangles are really they're a strong shape. They're one of the strongest shapes. If you have, symmetry is two things, right? If you have two things, you have a lot of tension. Or symmetry, like they've got to be at the right height, or it's, a lot of tension going on. Something's low, something's high. When you add a third, then it creates more interest. Mm-hmm. And I love it how you all can see that. So now my eye is visually saying, okay, I have three things going here. So, where do I want to go next? I've got my little filler flowers here. We do like balance, so maybe with my filler flower, I'll do one on either side. Our eyes like to create visual lines. We like to connect the dots. Mm-hmm. So if I bring a filler flower there, one there, and one there. Now my eye has created a visual line, a path for my eye to move that crisscrosses, does the crisscrossing of these three things that are going on. Not too sure if I like that guy exactly. Like, I almost feel like he's at the same plane. I'm not going to bore you with that. Now this guy, he's so pretty. I don't know. I'm torn. First of all, is it a 360 arrangement? And by 360, we mean, is someone going to see it from all the way around? Is it, say, in the middle of a dining room table, or is it against the wall? I'm imagining that mine is against a wall, and it's being seen from three sides. So, do we like him here kind of with the whites? Because now I've got a color grouping. I have white and white together, and then I have, so, and this yellow petal just became very important to me. So I'm going to put him there. Does that look good? Okay, good. And then, but now these two yellows make me want to have another yellow. And that's where I'm like, oh, I know these aren't going to last a long time, but for artistic design, I think that yellow is really important because it creates this triangle of yellows. Okay. And now to me, like, the star of the show is this guy, because this is kind of, the yellow's connected, the white's connected, and it's like all, the pink is like, really stands out because he's kind of all alone on his own. So I hope that inspires you. It's beautiful. And what's going to be really cool, even though we all have very similar flowers, your arrangements will look completely different because you're going to read different stories. Thistle! Love the thistle! Yay! Okay. Sometimes we want a stem to be naked and shown, but you will notice a lot of times, like in dozen rose arrangements, in different florist arrangements, if a stem is naked, it's got to be intentional. Like, I want that stem just to stand out. Like, I want it to be that character flower. But traditionally, in traditional floral design, we like a little softness with our stems. So that's maybe where, like, just adding it. He's not so naked. Do you see where that just kind of softened that hard stem? And now, and I can create threes here by putting one there, maybe even one there. So now I have a triangle of the textures. And then it kind of softened that guy that was kind of a little bit too much. And since I have two more, I'll probably put them on the back end here to visually move your eye back with the thistle. Okay. Are you guys feeling inspired? Okay, so remember, the biggest key is just start. Just start with one flower. And, oh, there's something there. You're okay. But just start with a flower and just see where it goes. Don't hold too much perfection to it. This is good therapy for all of us women who are perfectionists. Because it's like, okay, just start, right? You didn't know there would be life lessons here today.
So do you always start with